and the recording is on. And so I want to welcome you. And Brian, I can't hear the music if the music is on. I want to welcome you to the show today. We have lots of information for you. Not only we're going to have Dr. Neal Barnard on the show, we're going to talk about Liberty Health Share, one of my favorite sponsors on the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, very much like-minded. And so I want to encourage you. And how much time do we have, Brian? Because I usually can sense these things around about 10 to 15 minutes.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love you, fear. It's going to be a fun ride. Let me stay. Okay, went from real loud to real soft. There we go. It's time to dance, gentlemen. The good thing is you're not nobody can see us now.
Nobody can see. That's right.
So head bopping works. Brian, I can't hear the music at all. Did we get started? No. What happens when you do a radio show and a YouTube at the same time?
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful best day ever. And for those of you who are new to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, if you stumbled upon the show today, you're in for a treat because we have two men in one. No, actually 2 men, 1 show, and it's going to be wonderful. Okay, so for those of you who have never heard the show, I just want you to know that it is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth, which is something that has changed my life, and live the life of your dreams, because we are the creators of our lives. We choose what direction we go in by what we allow around us. So here's the deal. We have allowed so many different things in our lives that may or may not support us. So today we're going to talk about 2 things. First of all, we have Dr. Neal Barnard, who's back to share. He's a friend of the show who's ready to share the clinical trials. So if you believe that food there's no evidence about food as nutrition or healing your body, then think again, because we have Dr. Neal Barnard that is armed with a lot of truths that we may not know. This is information that the media may not tell us. And so it's so important that we learn from the best. And who do we have? Dr. Neal Barnard. Let me tell you about this guy. He is a teacher, musician, New York Times bestselling author. I think he has like 20,000 books because they're all so good. I see him smiling. And he's a strong activist. Dr. Neal Barnard is going to share compelling evidence. For those of you who say food doesn't matter, it does matter. And then later on in the broadcast, when we come back from the break, we're going to bring in Del Billis, one of my favorite like-minded sponsors, Liberty Health Share, who is there to help you heal naturally as well. Not insurance, health share. I made the switch about 2 years ago, and my life has completely blossomed because now I can pick where I go to see my doctors. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that both Dr. Neal Barnard and Del Billis are here to do just that. Welcome, gentlemen, to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show.
Hey there, Lillian.
It is such a pleasure. Thank you, Lillian.
Absolutely. So today we're going to start off with Dr. Neal Barnard. I hear you have some tricks up your sleeves. Tell us about the information that you have. How did you get started doing research about nutrition?
Well, I got to say, I had to kind of dig myself out of my own, I hate to use the word ignorance, but I think that's kind of the word. I grew up in Fargo, North Dakota, and ate kind of the way everybody ate, and just exactly what you were saying in the introduction was sort of the way I thought. Food is food. It really doesn't matter too much what you eat. If you get sick, it must be genes or bad luck or something like that.
Yep.
And I started learning about the importance of it. And one of I think the real keys is research that has been done starting not by bringing in research subjects and not by changing anything, not by experimenting in any way, but just by looking, just by observing people's natural diets. And there's one that I want to start with. The researchers for the longest time have been putting under the microscope Seventh-day Adventists.
Yes.
And when I got into my research career, I couldn't figure out, why are people studying Seventh-day Adventists what's that about? And I figured it out. The reason is that by their traditions, they are supposed to be non-smoker, health conscious. Don't smoke, don't drink alcohol, avoid caffeine, and they're supposed to not eat meat. But some of them follow that guideline and some don't exactly follow it. So it sets up a really great natural experiment of different people, all non-smokers, all health conscious, but they've chosen on their own different kinds of diet patterns. Mm-hmm. And that allows you to compare things. And that kind of blew me away, because what we discovered from their studies is that the people who are eating the way I grew up eating in Fargo, I got to say they did the worst. But by worst, I mean they are the most likely to have weight problems, the most likely to have diabetes. But the more people got toward a very different pattern, really favoring all the neglected stuff, the vegetables and the fruits and the simple beans and the whole grains, the more vegetarian side of the spectrum, they did better. They had healthier weight. They were much dramatically less likely to get diabetes, less cancer risk. And so that started us off in thinking, okay, we got to put these diets to the test in people who haven't done them before. So that really started us.
You know, it's interesting because, you know, we talked about Hans Deal in the CHIP program that started off with this Seventh-day Adventist and that connection with food and religion, like the largest study ever. And he had said something so powerful, that the fork can be a weapon of mass destruction or a tool to heal every cell of our body. And that made me think, you know, I can make that choice at the end of my fork. And so today we're going to talk to you, my listening friend. If you feel that nutritional science is bunk, well, we've got lots of evidence. And then we're going to introduce you to Del Bellis, the executive director of Liberty Health Share. And he's going to tell you the good news about choices that we can make when it comes to our health. And we're going to continue our conversation when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Oh boy, I almost didn't make that countdown. And Del, do you have your screen on the side open?
Yes, I do.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So when we come back, I will introduce you. So, you know, it's interesting. So I didn't know with the Adventist, I thought, and I maybe
get your roofing job done right.
Hold on a
Call
second.
Sears Roofing right now for.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, so I thought you said, and maybe I misunderstood when you were talking because I was taking notes and missing. You know what? I'm going to create a meme that listening and multitasking do not go together.
Ain't that the truth?
Okay, so I thought you said that even within the people in the Seventh-day Adventist diet, that there were people eating meat. Aren't they vegetarian?
They're supposed to be.
Okay.
But some are and some are not.
So that's not part of their religion. So people chose to be, it's just like being Catholic and choosing to use birth control.
I guess. No, I'm not an expert on the Adventist religion, but my understanding is that the founder of the denomination said, hey guys, better to not drink and so forth, but it wasn't like a requirement.
Okay.
And he did say you shouldn't eat meat, but maybe about half of the Adventists do. And then there are some who only eat fish. There are some who eat no meat at all, but they're eating cheese and maybe dairy products.
Got it.
And then there's some who are totally vegan, no animal products at all.
And they were able.
The researchers jumped in and said, wait a minute, I want to study all those groups and see how they differ depending on their food choices. And the amazing thing is they differ hugely.
Wow. Okay, so that's going to be good. Let's start off with that. Let's remember the Seventh Day study, and let's conclude it. And now when we come back, we're back. Yeah, we're just having problems with the controls on we're going to work on that.
Leave her a voicemail at 407.
Okay, Del.
5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn from one another. And today's teachers are Dr. Neal Barnard and coming back now is Del Billis. He is the executive director at Liberty HealthShare. And about 2 years ago, I found myself making a choice. And I had stumbled upon Liberty HealthShare when I did an interview about HealthShare. And I made a decision to inform myself at what my choices were. And when I made the decision, I was a little scared and a little apprehensive, but that was 2 years ago. And let me tell you, now Liberty HealthShare is a sponsor because I do believe in this product. I do believe that we have a choice. And I am so excited that Del Billis is here to share a little bit more of what's going on with Liberty HealthShare. So welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, Del.
Thank you so much, Lillian. What a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Yes. And so share a little bit about Liberty HealthShare and how you got involved, because I'm sure this was new for you too.
Well, when the Affordable Care Act passed in 2010, honestly, it hit me like a ton of bricks. There's got to be a way for the ordinary American citizen to meet their health care costs without that kind of government intrusion and that level of mandate. Began to do research. I've been in healthcare administration for 25, 30 years and launched Liberty HealthShare really to give folks an opportunity to join a like-minded, health-conscious community and gather around the common cause of paying each other's medical bill. Wow. And we do that on a regular, systematic basis each month. And just on the basis of our shared religious and ethical values, we participate and share each other's medical costs. We really do crowdfunding, Lillian, every month. And each member's healthcare costs, we crowdfund and share those expenses month to month.
You know, when I hear something like that, Del, I think, okay, I don't feel comfortable with somebody paying my bills. What if they run out of money? And, the government, we believe in the government, but yet they have run out of money. Tell us how the whole process works as far as the benefits that we get and how much per incident we're insured, that we're secured or funded.
Well, each month we ask our members to set aside what we call a suggested share amount. It has stayed the same for the last 3 years. It may change based upon medical inflation, but right now it's $199 for a single, it's $299 for a couple, $449 for a family of 3 or more. We don't count more than 3. That goes into a secure online account. We call it our share box. That is then based upon our proprietary online software matched to another member who has medical bills. And we ask a sufficient number of members to share in that particular cost. We cut the checks then right out to the doctors and the hospitals. And we have at present 90,000 households sharing their medical costs together. That's 220,000 individuals. And so it's the law of large numbers. It allows us to absorb those expenses, and we're paying each other's medical bills to the rate of about $18, $19 million a month.
That's amazing. And so for those of you who think that when you do a Liberty HealthShare or when you do a HealthShare program, that you are going to be limited. And what I love was the freedom I experienced when I could choose to go to a holistic doctor, when I can choose to go to anyone. There's certain things that I can do. And I call Liberty HealthShare and ask if this is within the realm. So share some of the benefits that we can get, Dale, when it comes to blood work, x-rays and all of that. How does that compare to traditional insurance?
Well, Lillian, our members make those kinds of decisions together. Every year we have a ballot that goes out to our members on different aspects of the sharing program. They decide based upon kinds of costs that will be eligible to share. So if you and I would have an incident, we call it, have a heart attack, we would be responsible, if we were a family, for the first $1,500 out of our pocket. And then we would share together the 100% of those expenses up to $1 million for that incident. All the doctor visits, hospital stays, surgery, medication associated with that incident. You have kidney stones the next day. It's the same. You'd pay that first $1,500. If you've met that in the course of your membership year, then you would all the members would share in that 100%. And we've decided among ourselves that naturopathic medicine is to our advantage as individuals. And so as an individual consumer, we make those choices to utilize either allopathic medicine, naturopathic medicine, what best serves our purpose and needs. We are very focused on health and wellness. And so we encourage each other to take those annual tests or have that annual checkup. And all of that is included as eligible expense among us as healthcare sharing members.
I think it's amazing because, as a single, because we made a decision, I don't know if I've shared this with you before, Dale, when my husband started working for a group that had insurance, to add me to his insurance was going to be over $400 a month. And when I started looking and comparing apples to apples, I found out that I only had to pay $199 a month, right? And my unshared amount was $500. So after $500, you guys take care of me.
Well, the members take care of you. That's what's so exciting. Yeah. Member-to-member cost sharing. And when my money, in the case it would go to assist with your expenses, Lillian, I get a chance to message you with cheer or encouragement or prayer. And like a true social community, not only are we standing with each other during that financial transaction, but also emotionally and spiritually caring for one another in a massive community across America. It brings such a sense of significance and engagement with one another.
And I am so proud to be a part of this community. And for those of you who want to learn more, you can call 855-58-LIBERTY. That's 855-58-LIBERTY. Or you can call 855-585-4237. For those of you who can't spell liberty, it's 855-585-4237. Or you can go online to libertyhealthshare.org. I am always amazed, Dale, especially when doctors don't know about Liberty Health Share. They question me, and then I give them the card. They only know insurance, right? So I give them the card, they take it like insurance, and when they do their homework, they realize they're getting paid more than they would have gotten with Medicare or any other traditional insurance. And so I have this one doctor, she loves seeing me. She doesn't see me very often, but when she does see me, she goes, "Oh, I love your insurance." I said, "I don't have insurance, I have health share." I'll have to remind them because we're so trained. How can we go beyond that? We have to have insurance, because I only chose this when I found myself without insurance. So how can we change this mindset and feel secure to dive in, to look and research it and consider it? What can you say to kind of calm our anxieties down?
There's only, in my view, Lillian, one baseline way to change our existing healthcare system. And that is when consumers like you and I and tens of thousands of other households rise up and insist on change. And so from the grassroots up, we'll see that kind of change in the marketplace. But it's when you and I as consumers take charge and control of our own healthcare.
I love it. I love it. And you know what? There's strength in numbers. And for those of you who think you can't afford insurance, you're probably right. But HealthShare is so affordable. And, when I looked at my insurance and what I was paying for my insurance, that wasn't just it. I also had a copay that I had to pay, and it was like $5,000. And so if I were to compare apples to apples, there's no comparison. I want to encourage you to consider going to libertyhealthshare.org. That's Liberty Health Share, or you can call 855-58-LIBERTY. You'll remember Liberty. You might not remember all the other numbers. So that's 855-58-LIBERTY. Thank you so much, Del Billis. It's always a pleasure to see you. and to listen to the good news that you always share. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Lillian. God bless.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to switch gears. I'm telling you, I'm going to say this number again for Liberty Health Share because I truly believe in this. Just like everything that I bring on the show, it has to be proven fact for me to be able to introduce. And this is what I love about Dr. Neal Barnard. He has spent his life, most of his career, let me just put it this way, because he also is an incredible musician. And I like to brag about Carbonworks, his latest CD. You can go to YouTube, enter Neal Barnard or Carbonworks, and listen to what creativity Dr. Neal Barnard has. So Dr. Barnard, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing more about, what we need to know about nutritional science. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Lillian. By the way, before we jump in on more things, I want to say thanks to Liberty Health Share. I have to say, if there's one thing that we have really needed, it's people thinking in broader terms about how to really make medical care affordable. There are some people who have lots of means and they're really not worried about their premiums, but there are many, many others who are. And I just love this way of taking a look at how we can work together to solve the problem. So my hat is off to them.
Oh, yeah. And, I made the switch about 2 years ago, Dr. Barnard, and it was scary for me because, we're indoctrinated to believe a certain way, just like we're indoctrinated about food to believe a certain way, right? And so when Liberty Health Share came forward and said, we would love to sponsor your show, I was thrilled because now I can share this out in the, personally, I share it one-on-one with my friends, but to be able to bring it out to the larger audience and the larger community to hear it's safe with Liberty Health Share. It's safe. I don't know about all of the other ones, but with this one it is.
Well, and people are concerned because they've seen over the past many months or a year and a half or thereabouts, their premiums are going up, sometimes dramatically. And so to have a better way to go is really great. It's great for the patients. It's great for the doctors too.
Absolutely. And, like I said, being added to my husband's insurance for work was going to be like $400, $450 for me to make the choice to go to $200 and still be protected and go to any doctor that I want, still get the lab works that I need, all of that. And once my $500 deductible, or it's not deductible, non-shared amount, because we have to change the language, gotta change, and I do the quotes when I say this, it was just so freeing for me. And I stand behind the product. I'm so excited. So with you, Dr. Barnard, it was the same thing with food and nutrition. We believed a certain way, and it is so hard to step away from what we've been taught, isn't it?
It is. And as I was saying earlier, I felt I was a reasonably well-educated person before I got into research, but my dietary habits were those of most Americans and so forth. And as I mentioned, from what I'm going to call epidemiologic studies, these are studies where you observe populations. We have learned so much that we can put to work in our lives and in our research.
Wonderful. And so you ready? Are you ready to learn a little bit more about the nutritional research that's been out there? Well, Dr. Neal Barnard is your guy. This is what he does. He does more than that, but this is what he's doing, and he's going to share his information when we return worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. And I'm so glad that I get patted when I see that one. There's still music playing, but I can't hear the music, Brian. But okay, so Dr. Barnard, briefly, we got a little bit off the subject when talking about Liberty Health Share, which to me, it still blows me away that Liberty Health Share is like, all these health shares, the only way to make people not listen is to put fear of God in them, that if they leave traditional, then you're going to be setting yourself up for failure, is the same mentality that keeps us eating a certain way. The standard American diet, if this is what's recommended. And many nutritionists, Dr. Barnard, have made a living promoting this standard American diet. What do you say about that? There's some great nutritionists out there that are pushing 30, 40, 50% animal products.
I think part of it is that the research, at least in a generation or so ago, the research really hadn't been done to show that there was a better way. So people sort of did the best they could. And I think doctors felt, okay, you use sort of a modest diet change instead of having beef in the middle of your plate, you're going to have chicken. It's not really a big change. And so the diabetes doesn't go away, and the person's heart disease doesn't go away, and their cholesterol doesn't fall. And that led doctors to think, well, food just doesn't matter. And it wasn't that food doesn't matter. It's that the food changes they were testing were just not powerful enough. And that has changed over the last generation, where suddenly we're using diet changes that are strong, sometimes stronger than medication. But all the side effects are good ones, of course. So I think the world of nutrition has changed, and people are being much more forward thinking than they were in the past.
How long did it take you to make that 100% change? When did it happen? What happened at that moment?
Oh, Lillian, I got to tell you, I think I'm still changing.
I love that. I love that answer.
It's really true. But although I did have an experience that kind of started me off, which I don't know, did I ever tell you about this? I used to work in a hospital in Minneapolis. Both the year before I went to medical school, I was the autopsy assistant. And we had a person who died in the hospital of a massive heart attack. And so I had to help the pathologist examine the body. And we pulled a big section of ribs off the chest of this body, and the heart was filled with atherosclerotic plaque, and it was really shocking to see. At the end of the exam, I put the ribs back in the chest and sewed up the skin and everything. And then I went up to the cafeteria, and they were serving ribs for lunch. And I got to tell you, it looked just like the dead body, and it smelled like it. And I thought, this is a dead body. And I just was unable to eat it. And I don't think I would really call that.
You have never said that. That is an amazing story.
Well, I wouldn't really call that an ethical choice I made or a health choice exactly. It was sort of a gut level thing that I just can't eat this because it's too much like the bodies that I had been examining. And I have to say, it's a really good nutritional lesson to see what ends up sending people to the morgue. I have to say, I wouldn't recommend that everybody do this, but for me, having seen what a stroke looks like, because I looked inside a person's skull to see the hole in the brain that the stroke had left, or to see what a heart attack really looks like, or to hold a cancerous tumor in your hands, it just, for me, was so graphic that I felt I have to make changes. Then, of course, when you see your own family members having health issues, you think, I want to help them. And of course, you want to protect yourself as well.
Yeah. And Brian, how much time do we have? 30 seconds. Well, I just want to say this. Unfortunately, Dr. Barnard, many of us think that we're doomed because we believe we're victims of our DNA. And,
right.
It's like, okay, why bother? We're going to die about something. Something's going to kill us. Why bother? And that mentality keeps us comfortable in our comfort zone, and it could kill us. It will kill us eventually. I always say that all the time. Comfortable can kill us.
Yeah. It's 100% true.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Wow. I wish that I had a 1-hour show totally uninterrupted, because I would love for people to hear this all the time.
McDermott, or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn from one another. And today's teacher is Dr. Neal Barnard. We just heard about Liberty Health Share, and so how we can make different choices in our life. And by the way, if you're interested in calling and finding out a little bit more for you, the number is 855-58-LIBERTY, or you can go to libertyhealthshare.org. And today, that same mentality can hurt us as well when it comes to food. I hear people say all the time, I don't know why I'm sick. I eat well. Well, what do you eat? And they'll start talking about, well, I had a muffin for breakfast, and I had, bacon, and then I'll have a BLT for lunch, and mayonnaise. And you start adding these things up, and we really don't know about nutrition. And these are, I've had, if the one reoccurring thing that I get on my show, when people email me, they say, I wish I would have learned this in school. I wish I would have learned this in elementary school. Let's nip it. Let's teach our children. Let's learn this information ourselves, because it's never too late. I was able to change my nutritional habits, and I know you can too. So Dr. Barnard, thank you so much. You were sharing about the Seventh-day Adventists and the diet. And so by the time we got to the end, I just wanted to kind of elaborate a little bit more on the Seventh-day Adventist diet and what they discovered from this captured group that shared different philosophies in food.
Okay, well, the first thing was they looked at, researchers dug into the Seventh-day Adventist population because they're health conscious, non-smokers, but they have different dietary patterns. And among this dietary pattern, the first group was, I'm going to call it the Fargo, North Dakota group. These are my people. They mostly live in California, but they ate exactly the way I ate growing up and the way my family ate. In other words, a standard meaty kind of diet. And the first thing they looked at is their body weight. And on average, as adults, they were overweight, because that's true with Americans generally. And then the next group was the people eating meat in moderation, less than once a week. They were a little skinnier, but not a lot. And then the third group was people who didn't eat any kind of meat except for fish, only fish. And they were a little slimmer, but really not super slim. Then they looked at vegetarians, vegetarians who ate cheese and dairy products, but no meat. And they were a little slimmer than the fish eaters. But then finally they looked at the people following a vegan diet, no animal products at all. And they were not only the skinniest of everybody, but they were the only group who on average was right in the healthy weight range. Well, this is completely the opposite of the way I grew up. My dad raised cattle, so anyway, so in my own research career, I started testing that kind of diet, and I ended up adopting it myself and threw all the animal products out, and I've decided it's just the greatest way to go.
Okay, so I have a question about that, because the research showed that people were heavier and they got slimmer and slimmer as they got to the vegan. But does slimmer equate health? Because I see a lot of skinny people in this world that are very unhealthy. They eat sugar and they are eating foods that are highly processed. What can you say about slimmer versus healthier?
Okay, great point. Being slimmer is good to be in the healthy weight range, but what you're saying, Lillian, is exactly right. You want to be healthy. You want to eat healthy foods. And if the way you got slim was by starving the weight off, that's not a healthy way to go. So the healthy way to do it is to eat vegetables, fruits, whole grains, beans. These are not really high calorie foods, so they help you stay slim, but also they are nourishing foods. This is not a diet shake. What you're eating is foods that are rich in vitamins and minerals and that kind of thing. And within the Adventist study, they not only looked at who was slim, but they looked at diabetes.
Okay.
And it was exactly the same. The people who avoided the animal products had the least diabetes. It was, I think, 2.9% of the people had diabetes, compared to about 8% in the meat eaters. And the more the animal products came in, the more diabetes went up. Cancer rates also were lower, heart disease rates lower. So luckily, they weren't just skinnier, they also were healthier.
Got it. Okay.
Exactly right.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of tap into that, because I know that people are going, all I want to be is skinny. And I say, no, that when you eat well and you eat the proper, to feed your body, that whatever the body needs as a nutrient, then the side effect of it is that you will release weight, not necessarily start going that direction. Because when you start thinking of losing weight or releasing weight, you think of starvation. And so,
Right.
What happens to the body when we eat healthy foods, then the body will automatically release the weight. It just starts. And so that's the great side effect, as opposed to taking a diet pill, which the side effect of that could be death or a heart attack, stroke. So what would you like to, can you add anything to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So many people do such heroic things to try to lose weight. They'll starve it off. They'll say, I'll never eat any carbs, so I'm not going to ever eat any fruit or any rice or any noodles and so forth. And they're leaving aside healthy foods.
Sure.
And that's not the way to do it. Back in 1990, Dean Ornish did a fabulous study in heart patients. And his goal was to reverse their heart disease. So he used a vegetarian diet. There's no cholesterol in plants, basically. There's obviously no animal fat. And their arteries opened again. But the amazing thing was the average person lost 22 pounds in a year with no calorie counting at all. So our research team here in Washington, D.C., put that diet to the test, not for heart patients, but for just everyday folks who wanted to lose weight. And what we found is that without counting calories, you're not starving the weight off. You're not limiting your portions. And you're not avoiding carbs or that kind of thing. But when you're eating vegetables and fruits and beans and whole grains and natural foods, two things happen. The first is that these are naturally filling foods. They have a lot of fiber, so they fill you up without a lot of calories, so you lose weight that way. But they also turn on what we call the after-meal metabolism.
Okay.
The nutrients go into the cells. They power your calorie burning speed, so you burn calories faster after a meal than you did earlier. Something about the diet tunes up your body's ability to burn calories. So you're burning calories more like you did when you were 16 years old. And whereas now, we just look at food and we gain weight. What you're doing is you're turning time backwards and improving your metabolism. So the foods have those effects of reducing your calorie intake because they satisfy your appetite, but they also improve your metabolism.
Okay, so with that in mind, we've heard from cardiologists on the Lillian McDermott radio show that you can reverse heart disease. We have other doctors that have come on. One of them is Dr. Joel Furman, who says unless you're having an active heart attack and your arteries are 99% clogged, you can still reverse heart disease naturally with nutrition. And these are bold statements that have been substantiated with nutritional data, scientific data. And so just recently, I did a show on coronary calcium score, the testing, and I have a question for you. Can that be reversed? Like whatever, let's say you have a score, and just recently the President of the United States was said that he scored I think it was 99. I scored a 0 on my coronary calcium score. Can that be reversed?
I'm so glad you asked about that because there are some tests where you want to score 100. The ones that take in high school. That's not the test we're talking about. So, you don't want a high score. What happens is that let's say you're eating bacon or you're eating fried chicken and so forth. Particles of cholesterol from the foods and also cholesterol that your body made in response to those fatty foods.
And the animal, is this only animal products, or is this plant and animal products when it comes to the food?
It's only animal products have cholesterol.
Okay.
And the bad fat, the saturated fat, is mostly in animal products. Dairy is number 1, meat is number 2. But there are traces of it in a few vegetable fats, but not very many fats have this. It's mostly animal products. But these products cause more particles of cholesterol to circulate in your blood. Yep. They irritate the artery wall. They cause a little bump to form that we call an atherosclerotic plaque. And then as time goes on, calcium can be deposited again, and then these things can be detected. But can it be reversed? The answer is yes. Now, it's not going to be reversed if you make just a tiny little change in your diet or you eat a healthy meal on Tuesday and then next Saturday. In the same way as a smoker, their lungs will clean out, but they will not clean out if you skip the cigarettes on Tuesday and on Saturday and all the other days you're smoking. So if you want to clean out your arteries, you have to get away from the animal products completely and do more. Throw away the cigarettes, lace up your sneakers so that you're exercising, you're getting your heart rate going. And also, I encourage people to not eat a lot of fried foods. The other people are putting oil all over everything. You want to keep fats in general really pretty low and eat abundant vegetables, especially the green vegetables like broccoli and kale and collards, and all those things are very healthy. Fruits, whole grains, beans. Those foods don't have any cholesterol. They don't have any animal fat. They allow the arteries to open up again.
Very good. Okay, so there's just so much we need to learn that we weren't taught. And this coronary calcium score that I got a 0 on, and the president got a 99 on. If he changes his diet, if he takes this test again, would it show a 50 or a 25, or could that change?
Yeah. Yes, these things can change.
The scoring.
The score could change, but the first thing that happens is the little soft plaques themselves go away. So here's my advice for our president. We're going to make our salad, and we are now going to make America great again. We are going to grate our carrots onto our salad. We're going to grate the beets onto our salad, a little bit of garlic. We're going to have a big salad, and we're going to make America great again.
In every sense of the word. And we're going to continue our conversation with Dr. Neal Barnard. If you have questions for Dr. Barnard, feel free to text me at 407-373-5959. We'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. Make America great with a salad. I love that. I love it.
Grate.
I love that. I think it's wonderful that, I guess I had that question because someone told me that once you get a score on your calcium score test, or coronary calcium score test, that will never change. I already got a phone call. Yeah.
It's the last thing to change. And it surprises you because if you could feel it with your hand, it's like concrete. It's like a rock. But if you had a salt crystal and you threw it in a glass of water, would it gradually dissolve? Yes. It takes time, but it will. So those rocks can dissolve.
Okay, very good. That's good to know because, we never know about that. Okay, so the next study that we can talk about, any study that you would like that you have, you just recently said in one of the last shows that we have done that you had a graduating class with, how are they doing?
They're doing great. We have people coming through all the time, and yes, we graduated a class. We got a new one starting. We could talk about that if you want to. We should also talk about diabetes and can diabetes be reversed?
Okay.
We did a big study funded by the U.S. government to look at reversing diabetes, and I'd be glad to tell you about that.
Okay, reversing diabetes. There's a lot of people out there that just think that it's hereditary. So I'll normally on the third segment, I talk about my my website and how to get a hold of me. But because we had Dale, I wanted to give you more time. And I'm going to just mention for people to go to whenyounneedafriend.com and become a subscriber, and then I'll reintroduce you. Okay.
Don't worry, I can be concise. So don't skimp on the things that you need to tell people.
No. That's good.
What you're doing is great stuff, and you want to make sure people know.
Yes, thank you so much. Well, it's wonderful, Dr. Barnard, that you take the time. I know how busy you are, and I really do appreciate your insight and your wisdom. As we go forward, and I would like to perhaps maybe share something that people want to consider. Switching. You have doctors that say, okay, if you have less than 5% or less than 10%, where if you need to have animal products, because some philosophies, some studies, some researchers say that there's some body types that require meat, like O positive, like I'm A positive, and I thrive on now that I've considered a whole food plant-based, I thrive with more vegetables.
Right.
But there are people that say they need meat. What do you say about that?
Yes. This starts with the Eat Right for Your Type.
Yes.
Which came out, when was it? Probably maybe 20 years ago. It was written by Diadamo, who I think is a nice guy, and I think he meant well. However, he said type A blood type needed to be vegetarian, type O needs to be meat eaters. And I'll have to tell you the results on this. I hear the music.
Okay. And here we go. This is the last segment. My goodness.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail.
We can even talk about that on the air if you'd like to talk about blood types.
5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show. You can hear us worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. I am so excited that day after day I get to share this information with you, my listening friend, and I hope that you continue the conversation long before or after the show is done. I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. This is where we take 100% responsibility for our life. Go to whenyouneedafriend.com, and once you subscribe, you will get free gifts and the show will be delivered daily to you on your phones and tablets so that you can listen to it again and again. You can also go to the site and click on all my social media, my YouTube button, and then while you're there, also subscribe. So subscribe to my YouTube, also like me on my social media. You can call, text me, leave a message. I asked that when you go to whenyounneedafriend.com that you check out my sponsors and check out how you can support them the way that they are supporting the show, because without them, the show would not happen. I can assure you of that, because it just would not. This is not information that is popular, and it's information that is truly greeted with anger at times. And so I just ask that you consider a new truth. Consider, checking things out to see how your body responds. Now, while we were in our break, Dr. Neal Barnard, I asked them a question about eating for your blood type, because there is a lot of information out there that says, okay, well, not everybody can thrive without meat. And so Dr. Neal Barnard has some research on that too.
Yeah, you can sort of understand why people would say. Some people have type A blood.
Which I do, yeah.
Some people are type O, some people are type B, some people are AB. And so the theory was, if you have a different blood type, maybe you need to eat differently. And there was a popular book that said, if you're blood type A, you should be vegetarian. If you're blood type O, you should be a meat eater. Well, the problem with that is that type O is the most popular, or it's the most frequent type. And I, in fact, am a type O, but I switched to a completely vegan diet, and I've done terrific. So it turns out that when you take people with type O, but you give them the type A vegetarian diet, they do great as well. So everybody does fine on the type A diet, even if they have a different blood type. So I'm writing a new book. It's called Eat Right for Your Shoe Size. And if you're a 9.5, I've got a vegan diet for you. But if you're a 10, you ought to go vegan.
I love it. Are you really? Is this a real story? I mean, are you going to do this book? I love it.
Check back with me on that.
Okay. Well, this is true. But okay, so when you say vegetarian, vegetarians do eat animal products. They eat cheese, they eat milk. So let's talk about that. I mean, I know you wrote the book, The Cheese Trap. So
Right.
What can you tell us about vegetarians that are eating eggs and they are eating dairy products?
Yeah, I went that direction myself, actually. When I got a little freaked out about my Fargo, North Dakota diet, I went to a vegetarian diet, which included cheese and eggs and so forth. Now, but some vegetarians avoid all animal products, and you would call that a vegan diet. The problem with a vegetarian, the problem with an ovo-lacto diet,
Yeah.
Ovo meaning eggs and lacto meaning dairy products, is that you're getting so much of that animal fat in the cheese. The average cheese-eating vegetarian weighs 13, 14, 15 pounds more than they would weigh if they would do a vegan diet. Plus, their risk of diabetes is higher, their weight is worse. So I think it really makes a sense to get away from the dairy products and the eggs too. And the healthiest diet of all, if I'm going to trace it all out, would be my favorite 4 groups: vegetables, fruits, beans, and whole grains. And then take a B12 supplement of some kind. Make sure you're getting vitamin B12, because you need that for healthy nerves and healthy blood. And we can talk more about that, but that really is a healthy diet. And then in addition, within those, when you get into the vegetables, favor the green leafy vegetables. They're great for you. Favor the orange vegetables like carrots and sweet potatoes. Get some sunlight too. Don't forget to go outside and let the sun hit your skin and make healthy vitamin D. Get some exercise. You put those together, you've got a healthy diet and healthy lifestyle.
Okay, so let's look at the green leafy vegetables. We live in Florida, and you used to live in Fargo. And now, where do you live now?
I live in Washington, D.C.
In Washington, D.C. Now, there's another philosophy that is eat seasonally in your local area. What have studies shown for that?
I like that idea for many reasons. However, in Fargo, there was nothing to eat between about October and April.
Poor Fargo.
Right. Oh, I love Fargo, I got to say. But, we as a species began in Eastern Africa. And first, I don't know why we left, because we had all kinds of wonderful things to eat there, beautiful sunlight, but people being so restless and creative, we decided to try out other places like Fargo and New Jersey and Reykjavik and Oslo and all kinds of places where there's not much sun and not much to eat. But I think we still do well on a diet that is rich in fruits and vegetables and whole grains and beans, really no matter where you eat. But you can interpret it differently. If you're in Latin America, it might be black beans and corn tortillas. If you're in Asia, your bean might be the soybean. Your grain might not be a corn tortilla, it might be rice. So there are different ways of interpreting it, but you still want to stay within those 4 groups.
Very good. Okay, so what can you say about the studies when it comes to reversing diabetes and heart disease? Because, well, let's say specific, because you already addressed heart disease. Let's talk about the studies. And many people still believe that they are a victim of their DNA, and because their parents and their parents before them had diabetes, that perhaps that's what they're going to inherit as well. So why even bother? Eat whatever you want.
Okay, genes are not destiny.
Yes.
There are genes that say you're going to have blue eyes. You can't argue with them. Those are dictator genes. But the genes for diabetes, there are genes for them. Those genes are not dictators. They're more like committees making a suggestion. You could get diabetes if you don't eat well. So there are genes, and you see the diabetes running through families. But we don't just give our kids DNA. We also give them recipes. We give them food habits. We give them taste for food that cause the same diseases to be passed down from generation to generation. So in 2003, the National Institutes of Health funded my team to test a vegan diet, not to open up arteries in heart patients, but to see what we could do for diabetes. And what you see is that people do better and better and better. Their weight comes down, their blood sugars come down, their need for medication comes down. Now, will you get away from it completely? Will it go away? It really depends on how long you have had it. If it's type 2 diabetes and you start a vegan diet the day you were diagnosed, your chances of getting rid of it are much better than if you've had it for, say, 30 years, where it's been harming your pancreas, for example, and so you're not making insulin so much as you were before. But this is the diet for everybody because it will help you prevent the complications and turn this disease around.
I could have you say that for a straight hour, over and over and over again. And people would say every time, what? You mean you can reverse diabetes? Hand me that burger. Or what? You can reverse diabetes by eating a healthy diet, a whole food plant-based diet? Here, give me that milkshake. We don't make that connection, even if you hear it over and over and over again. Yes, what Dr. Neal Barnard just said, you can reverse, I'm going to say most diseases, because we have that power. Our body was made to heal. And if we allow it, if we give it the right things, and, here's what, I say that all the time, that we inherit our recipes, our family recipes, what makes us feel comfortable. And we are taught a certain way that this is good, this is bad. What do you say to people that say, well, I don't like broccoli, or I don't like mushrooms, and what do you say to people?
When people transition to this kind of diet, they're all a little nervous, and that's understandable. So what we do is we take about 7 days, and we just figure out which foods we do like. If I normally eat spaghetti with meat sauce, let me try it with a tomato sauce with some sauteed mushrooms on top and some artichoke hearts and see how it is. Or if I didn't like broccoli, try dousing it with a little seasoned vinegar or something like that and see if you make it in a way you like. It takes about a week. You'll find the foods you like. Then try it out for maybe 3 weeks. Short term, you'll see. It's going to change your life.
Well, you're an amazing man, Dr. Barnard. Love having you on the show. Thank you so much for your time and for all the information you share. Okay, and for those of you, make sure you go to Liberty Health Share as well and check out how you can make informed choices. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott with Dr. Neal Barnard, wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. Amazing that people still think they can't reverse their diabetes, that they cannot do anything like that. And we just have to keep plugging away and doing the shows that people will be stumbled upon and go, what? but it's not sinking in to some people. Other people, it does. And I hope that the people who are watching today that stuck through the whole show will also say, okay, it's worth a try. Let me see if there's some truth to it. What do we have to lose, right?
Absolutely. And we're making progress. More and more people are changing all the time. Never as fast as we want, but we're going the right direction.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Barnard. You're an amazing man. As a matter of fact, I got so many texts from a listener, and this is what they said. I love Dr. Barnard. He's so cute. That was after your comment about the shoe size, the new book. I think you should write that book. I think it's brilliant.
All right, great.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank
Lillian.
you so much. Take care.
All right, see you soon.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.